Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel and podcast. It's Scott and Deka here with a match reaction to the Leeds game. Newcastle United have just finished a rather frustrating 0-0 draw against a defensively resolute Leeds United, you would say. Deka, your initial reactions to that game? Dropped points?
It has to. You have to say that, yeah, of course. I think I did say before the game, to be fair, I was speaking to a few people today, I knew it wasn't going to be easy by any stretch, but definitely drop points, especially when you're at home. The form we're in, looking at their run of form of late hasn't been great either. So I was expecting 3 points. And it was a frustrating game, wasn't it? It was a frustrating afternoon, I think, overall.
It was plenty of chances from Newcastle, and I feel like we didn't really let them have too many. I think I can remember one save that Nick Pope had to make, which came halfway through the second half. Shot from, I think it was a substitute that they brought on, Rodrigo, I think it was. But yeah, we'll go through some of the chances. Obviously, very early on, there was a really early chance for Chris Wood. Gets it past the keeper, knocks it past the keeper really well. But he just doesn't connect with, I don't know if it was a shot or he was trying to cross it. I think it was Joel Linton in the middle. And that kind of set the precedence for the rest of the day. It just, like I said, chance after chance. I've got a list here. You've got kind of early chance for Joel Linton. Shaw finds Willock. Joel Linton has a shot. Bruno Trippier, triangle working again. Another chance for Shaw from a Trippier corner, free header. And that was just the theme of the first half. I think we maybe trying a bit too hard, would you say?
I say this about We're a lot, is that I feel like, obviously I love that we're high energy, high pressing, everything's fast, everything's 100 miles an hour, right? Now I have to say here, I thought the first half on both sides was very similar in that regard. It was a chaotic, I mean, to be fair, for the neutral, a great game of football. It wasn't that it was a bad game of football, but equally, I thought them looked quite dangerous on the attack at times. We had loads of chances. It was fast and furious. And probably going into the game, probably what I expected, because we do play like that, especially at home. But to be fair, we play like that all the time. And Leeds are known for that, aren't they? High intensity, working hard, pressing, and all the rest of it. We did have a lot, going back to that Wood chance there. I thought Wood had a poor afternoon, if I'm being honest. But that particular chance there, just, I don't know. He does well to get around the goalkeeper, but really seems so awkward, doesn't he? He just seems awkward. I feel like when he, you know what I mean, when he has to do things like that with his feet, just looks awkward to him. Doesn't come natural. Doesn't feel.
I think maybe his confidence is playing a part there. He's obviously I think the only goals he scored of recent are penalties. So I mean,
I would agree.
I think he wants to get an open game goal to maybe boost that confidence. That's easy for me to say. It is New Year's Eve, but there's been no alcohol consumed just yet. Although I feel like I need a drink after watching that match. It's a weird one with Wood. He had I think in the second half, he had another chance where he's through again, 1-on-1 with the keeper, and he just didn't seem to either get his footing right, or he just didn't. It's almost like the ball didn't drop for him, but any striker should just be pouncing on that and not waiting for that ball to drop, because the keeper's closing down on you. You've got to hit it as early as you can to just try and lift it over him.
He's trying to lift it over him, but, and I don't mean this to be awful or anything, but like I don't have any confidence when the ball comes through him. I was like, I don't think he'll score here, and he didn't. I think as I say about being frustrating, there's a few little, listen, I don't want to make this too negative here, right? We are still the best. We're still going to win the league. It's all good. No, I'm taking the piss.
We're still in third, so
yeah, exactly. I don't want to get carried away here. We're just judging what we've just watched over the last 90 minutes. And I thought Trippier had a poor afternoon from set plays and crosses. Sometimes I felt, I don't know, looking for the early cross, which was then just going straight at the goalkeeper. Maybe could have just worked it out wide. Some of the dead balls wasn't great. I felt Longstaff had many opportunities to score, or certainly work the goalkeeper, but were very, very poorly executed. There was one with his left foot where he was through on goal, was dreadful. I guess that's the difference from winning and losing. I think looking back at the game, I'm sure probably 3-4. Shea could have had a hat trick. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
Shea almost could have had a hat trick. So no question, we created a lot of chances, but just frustrating afternoon, as I've said at the start. There, it really was.
It's one of them games where I think if we played that at this point last season, we lose that game. We don't take the chances, but we weren't as defensively sound to block Leeds out. I think the first half you mentioned Leeds they were counter-attacking quite well, but they just lacked that final ball in the final third. There was nothing going on, which I think that was again credit to Shea and Botman, who solid again, the pair of them. I think there was maybe one little incident where they got through, but I was more impressed with the passing from Shea and Botman. I thought they were picking some really nice kind of passing to just exclude the midfield of Leeds completely, and we were on the front foot, and it was happening time and time again, which is quite nice. We'll turn our attention to the penalty shout in the first half. Shaw's through on goal. I don't know. I saw the run. I didn't know who it was. It was Fabian Shea. It came from their corner, I believe. So maybe he was playing a little bit kind of deep, but he's a defender, so who knows? He's through on goal, and I mean, the player takes his legs from him. Now, there's an argument maybe the ball's already going out of play. Is that a penalty for you?
For me, it's not. And I think I try to be very fair in these, and I normally always say things aren't a penalty, if I'm being honest, but I just think I felt he was looking for it a little bit. But to be fair, good, to say what you said there, yes, he probably does get them. I just feel I have to say roles reversed, and if that was Shea doing that on someone, I'd be furious if that was given as a penalty. Yeah. But you could also say I've seen them given. You know what I mean? I have seen them given. Yep. I just thought it was a bit soft, and I'm probably fine with the decision personally.
Well, Kieran Trippier, I think about 2 minutes later, did a very similar challenge in the final third to one of their players and gets a yellow card.
Yeah, and he referenced that as well, didn't he? He was like, "Hang on a second,
there's no consistency."
Yeah. There's not. I do agree there.
One thing we're still not sure on with Trippier, that's his 5th yellow card of the season. But it is only his 4th in the Premier League, so I'm not sure if it means he's missing the Arsenal game. I think on some people's commentary they said he misses. I don't know personally the rules to that because it's the League Cup, so I don't know if they count that or not. I don't know, but he's got 5 yellow cards, so he could potentially miss the Arsenal game, which
what's one to watch, isn't it? It'd be a big miss. Be a big miss. No doubt.
A big miss.
Yeah.
I thought Joe Willock had a very, very good game, and I was very surprised to see him come off when the substitutes happened in the second half. He was making a nuisance of himself. He was getting the ball, and I would say maybe he was getting lucky with some of the runs he was making. He was getting the better the rub of the green, as they say. What were your opinions on Willock's performance?
Well, I certainly thought the first half he was really bright, and I thought he was one of the brighter spots of the first half. For all we didn't play poorly, you just felt if something was going to happen, he'd probably be involved in that. Certainly running from deep and trying to commit players. And I love any player that tries to do that. I think that's why I love St. Maxim as much as I do. I just love someone that is willing to get the ball and try and make something happen. And I do agree. There was the odd time where he got tackled, but it like kind of ricocheted and ran for him. But hey, you make your own luck in the game sometimes. Exactly. And him trying to make them runs, I felt were really good. And I did think I was surprised when I seen him come off. If I'm honest, I was. Yep. I thought him and Joe Linton in the first half. Joe Linton had a lot of. Well, he found himself in good areas. There was a lot of times where the ball was breaking him, and I was like, right, you've got one to beat here. Sometimes, unfortunately, it just didn't work for him. So he drew a foul a few times. Sometimes he got tackled. Who knows if Maxi had been in them areas in the first half, one-on-one with someone. Because obviously by the time Maxi come on, then we're getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. The first half I felt was pretty much like basketball at times. It was just end-to-end almost the first half. It was,
very
end. And there was a few times Willock was finding Joe Linton, and I'm thinking, right, you've got one to beat. And my mind was kind of thinking, I wish that'd be Maxi there. But, it is what it is.
It is. I think you're spot on there. I think we talked about it in the last match preview, and I think you and Chris also mentioned it on the podcast, the Always Smiling Faces podcast this week, that Maxi in the past couple of weeks hasn't maybe had as many minutes as would like, and both he and Wilson got, I think it was the 63rd minute they came on. Yep. So we got to get them a bit more game time. Took a while for us to find Maxi in the second half. He seemed to be pretty anonymous for probably the first 10 minutes. But once we did find him, I mean, touch was fantastic. He was taking players on. He was making, again, a nuisance of himself. He was finding passes as well. You just feel like maybe that was the game that maybe we should have started Alan St-Maximin and he could have got some. But the way Leeds have been playing, it's quite a hard thing to call that because you leave then Dan Burn pretty exposed if you do that.
Yeah, I think it's hindsight as well, isn't it? In a sense, if we take one, if Shea scores that header in the first half and Longstaff hits the target, you're 2-0 up and everyone's loving it and it's fine, Sometimes when you don't quite get the rub of the green and you don't score, it's like, well, if I'd have started him, I'm not saying that's what you're saying. I'm just saying sometimes objectively you can look at it that way.
Yeah, of course.
I definitely will agree though that I would have liked to seen more minutes from him overall in the last few weeks. But the positive thing, I did think he looked sharp when he come on.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved, I'm sure it was the move where Shea played a wonderful ball, or literally almost a full length. His first touch there was just ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, he just killed it.
Considering the conditions.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. Yeah. Considering the conditions, because they were terrible. I think we should add that as well. They were awful. The first touch was superb. And again, this is what I definitely think I'm seeing from him when he is playing. I think the old Maxi would have tried and beat all three of them there. There was three players in front of him, but he didn't. He slotted a lovely little ball through to Joe Linton, who set himself up really well. Unfortunately, blazed it over. But I don't know. There's definitely a change there in Maxi, like of looking for a shirt first, and that can only be good, I think, moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've seen that quite a lot from him before. He kind of was out for injured as well. He'd get that ball and that and like you say, you'd expect him to maybe take on 2, 3, 4 players and. Sometimes it worked and a lot of the times it didn't work and that will be the frustration. And I think he's got that out of his system a little bit. And I think that's all down to maybe Eddie Howe and training him a bit and being like, look, if you want to be in the squad, it's a team game. You've got to play with the team and he's adapting his game, which is always good to see. It's good considering, maybe it's the history or the perceived history of St-Maximin from other managers saying that he's hard to work with and all this sort of stuff. But anyway, this isn't a review of Alan St-Maximin, it's a review of the game. So we'll talk about some other players. I do think Miggy had a very good game. He was again, I've said this a few things, he was making a nuisance of himself, making some great runs and him, Trippier and Bruno, that triangle. It's working. It didn't maybe lead to a goal, this time, but it was still a nice thing to see. There was one opportunity, I think it was a long ball from Bruno from Wayne, just over the halfway line. And Miggy just, again, his touch was second to none. And he plays in Sean Longstaff. And it's a perfect ball for Sean Longstaff. And whether it's conditions, whether it's, maybe Sean Longstaff's head getting away from him, whatever it is, the shot goes over the bar, but you've got to be working the keeper in that sort of situation.
Yeah, I think I do want to reference that first touch from Miggy. My God, that was wonderful. That was just the way he took it in stride was just absolutely outstanding. And you got the performance that we're seeing all the time. He's buzzing around. He looks lively. He looks confident. His touch is great. He's running in behind. Honestly, there's at times he just seems to do everything. There's no complaints at all from him about him. But again, though, Longstaff, sometimes it's just that maybe that rush of blood or the quality that's just not there. And I think he had two huge moments in the space of about 5 to 7 minutes. I feel it was the left-footed strike and then that one you've just referenced there. They're big moments in the game. They're big moments. And,
I think there was one more from Longstaff right near the end where he found himself on the edge of the box with the ball and he had 4 Newcastle players around him. He had St-Maximin running. He had a lot of players and he just didn't make the right pass. And I think we've criticised Longstaff about this a little bit in the past, and I don't want to, beat down on him too much, but sometimes his decision making is a half second off pace, and he ends up losing the ball, or he ends up making the wrong decision. Where the simpler pass, had he been thinking a bit quicker, would have been maybe he's placed St-Maximin or Callum Wilson, who was in front of him as well. I do think maybe he's also, looking back on the game, the referee didn't have the best of games. I felt like he let the game get away from him a little bit. There was a couple of instances on Leeds' side as well of our side where there was a couple of challenges where I think you should be given that, or even, you shouldn't have given that. You should have let it play on. And he also, I think there was one instance where I think they flagged Miggy offside, and when the replay came, he was he was well on, and you've got to think they're trying to convince linesmen to not raise the flag, and he's instantly raising his flag. It's like, come on,
well, that was an interesting one.
And come back to it. Yeah,
I agree there, because that's something which is contentious for a lot of people. Some people, when he's offside and the referee but the linesman doesn't put his flag up, and then the play on and it gets given, everyone screams, "Oh, what the hell!"
Yeah.
But in that instance, that was the opportunity where the linesman shouldn't. You know what I mean? Because VAR decided later on, and he was onside, no doubt about it. And that looked a dangerous attack as well. I think where I was really disappointed with the ref was towards the end of the game, very close to the end actually was, and we'll probably come to this, but I thought we didn't handle the end of the game very well at all, collectively as a team, really poorly. And I think you could see from Howe's reaction, he was fuming about how we ended that game. But there was at least a minute or 2 minutes where nothing had happened because the goalkeeper's down, etc., etc. And I felt as if the ref couldn't wait to get off the field. And the second they got over the lot of time, he just blew an arm. Thanks for coming. See you later. And I was very disappointed there because I felt there should have been more time.
It was interesting because I think just before that incident with the keeper, one of the Leeds players went down with cramp, and the referee made it quite obvious. I think it was for the fans' convenience more than anything that I've stopped the clock. Like, this will be added on. And then all that, like I say, we'll come to it in just a minute, but all that happened, what happened at the end, and he didn't seem to then add that on. No. And again, that's maybe.
Did you see Botman? Did you see Botman at the end? Botman
at the end went running. Yeah, he had the ball and he ran straight towards him.
He straight over and said, "Well, you're pointing at your watch here and you're not in any time on."
Yeah.
So
I think there was 2 extra minutes. I think it was 96 minutes when the whistle blew, but that was for the guy who went down with a cramp. And then you've obviously got, and we'll come to us right now, like the mess at the end. And it was almost like that was Leeds' game plan. Maybe, get us to 85 minutes and then just frustrate us. If it's still 0-0, just, play, go down a bit easy or maybe, I don't want to say waste time, because it's not really wasting time. It's game management, because we've done it.
Of course,
you see Fabian Schär do it all the time. You'll go down with cramp in the 85th minute, 86 minutes, and you can't really criticize other teams when you do it yourself. You'd be very hypocritical. But I felt like we didn't do ourselves any favors there, where all we would have had to do was just step back and just let the referee control it. Maybe as the players were thinking, well, we need to get this goal. There were a sense of urgency to do it. So there were, Callum Wilson was going up with I think he pushed the keeper, who then went down very easily.
Yeah.
And then Bruno, I don't know what Bruno was thinking of. Maybe it's just the whole, emotions around Pele, with wearing the Pele shirt at the beginning, and maybe he wanted to do something to celebrate Pele. I don't know, but you just kind of felt like Leeds were, it's one of them ones where you think Leeds would walk off and, you'd almost see like the Ronaldo wink, that famous kind of, that's exactly what we wanted you to do.
100%, totally agree. I think, I firstly want to reference the point you made about the game management side of things. I've seen our team, not necessarily much this season, but shithouse a bit of a point away from home. I've seen we do it for years, and I can't sit here and complain when a team is against us. I mean, we're second in the league. We've won 6 in a row, and you've got a team here that are struggling, coming to our place thinking, we need to do everything we can here to get away with a point. And it is what it is. We have to just be better than that and kind of get around that. But I thought towards the end, I mean, first of all, there was a point where I think Longstaff played Bruno in the box, and he tried like a flick up. It obviously didn't work. He went down easily. And to be fair to the Adams, just put his hand out to help him up, and Bruno just erupted. He's like punching his chest into him. And I'm thinking, whoa, calm down. Because I was worried in case he was going to get booked or sent off there. And then for Wilson to do that the Wilson one was what I noticed, because that was just stupidity. That was absolutely stupid. Because the second he pushed him like that, well, he's going to stay down for minutes. And then, as you say, Bruno got involved. Joe Linton loves to kick off. And the camera panned to Howe, and Howe was fuming. He was fuming.
He was.
And he almost, I think he mouthed, "What the fuck are we doing here?" Literally, that's what he said, because as you rightly said, we've got 2 or 3 minutes here and we'll maybe get one more chance, and we've just lost our heads. And it's not something I'm worried about. I'm not going to complain about it and say there's any issues there, but it's certainly, I think, something Howe will focus on massively after the game, and when they come back, in the new year, and say that can't happen again. It just can't, because you have to manage a game better than that. And just to reference Bruno, I think we've seen when he missed the penalty against Palace in the Cup, I think it was, maybe.
Yeah.
No, yes. The guy's an emotional guy. There's just no getting away from that.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of things playing at home. Pele, the Brazil situation, just wanting to win, wanting to be the hero of the moment. And when it's getting away from him, you're just seeing that sort of, I don't know how to reference it, maybe.
It's
I don't want to say childish. Frustration's a better word, yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll come. He'll manage that. But I think for all we see, well, for example, you seen him last week just doing a tackle, absolutely screaming about doing a tackle. That's how much it means to him. Sometimes, unfortunately, you're going to see the other side of him reacting in the bad way. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, and I suppose the nice thing to look at it is he's only, what, 24?
Yeah, he's only young.
That'll come out of his game. That'll come out of his game, and when he's in his prime. And Christ, I can't wait to see him in his prime if this is what he's like now. That'll be gone, and we'll see a much better player. So
hey, sometimes though as well, sometimes you don't want to knock that out of him all the time either. I still said, you know, not even the same type of player here. Sorry, but Rooney, for example, people used to reference him being hot-headed and having a time. Sometimes if you take that out of the man, you lose the player who he is. So you got to balance that as well.
Well, it's the same with Callum Wilson. You know, you've just said we don't want to see that from Callum Wilson, but then when he's been a bit of a shithouse and it works, we love it. So it's that fine line, but that was maybe a one step too far for what he did today.
It wasn't great, was it?
But it ended 0-0. It's a point. We're kind of really complaining at a point. Leeds are a very good side. They have been leaking goals, but they seem to be getting back to where they want to be. I think that's now in the last 5, 2 wins, a defeat and a draw. So, you know, good on them. It's good to see them in the league because it could have been so much worse for them given their past and what went on there. We move on to Arsenal. And that's going to be a fun game. I think they're about to kick off against Brighton, or it's happening later
just
on.
Now, yeah.
So let's hope Brighton can do a favour. But we're still third in the league. We're 2 points now behind Man U. So Man U have overtaken Spurs, and we're obviously still 3-4 points ahead of Spurs. So the top 4, top 3 position is safe. We're going into the new year with an unbelievable league position.
It's ridiculous.
And I mean, this can be put down as maybe a blip, and let's hope that's all it is. And we'll come back stronger next week. Oh, it's not even next week, is it? It's in 3 days. We come back stronger in 3 days against Arsenal, and we'll give them a good game as well. Is there anything you want to add, Deka, before we wrap this up?
No. I think just to reference to what the year's been. I mean, we're closing down 2022 here, and it's been remarkable. Probably one we'll never forget, if I'm honest. No matter how the remainder of the season goes, this has been a phenomenal year for everyone associated with the club, and long may it continue. And I will reference that. I still say today, as frustrating as it was, you could turn up next week and play like that and win no problem. You know what I mean? It just sometimes that final ball, the final finish. You know, there was still a lot of good there, just frustrating in the end, but. Yeah, still been a great year.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of chances, and I think Leeds had one shot on target. I mean, you normally win those games.
Yeah,
so we'll see what happens in the future. But it is New Year's Eve, so I will let you get off to whatever you're doing and probably spend it with the family.
I am, yes. I'm plenty drinking, but just with the kids and the family, yes, mate.
Yeah. Well, I hope the kids aren't drinking, but yeah, good one. We will see you for a match preview. We're going to record that tomorrow, providing that no one is too hungover for the Arsenal game. And then the Always Smiling Faces podcast will also be at some point this week as well. I'm guessing it's Monday. Although it's a bank holiday over there, so I don't know what Chris does with giving you the day off on bank holidays.
Yeah, I'm going to ask him. I'm going to text him actually and see what we're doing.
Yeah. But you'll find all that out on our Twitter page. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can get up to date with what's happening. But all that's left to say, thanks, Deka, for your time.
No problem, thank you.
Another frustrating game, but again, like I said, it's a point and we'll take them all day long. Thank you for watching. Hope you all have a happy and safe New Year's Eve. Thanks for watching. We will see you in the next one. If you like this content, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And we will see you next time. See you all later.
All the best.
Ta-ra.